Welcome to episode 7 of the I Went Outside Today podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris.
I'm Sheryl.
I'm Sydney.
Well, as we talked about right before recording, let's add up people's money collection spells. What are we up to now?
I found a bus ticket.
I am up to 45 cents worth of found change in the streets. I'll do the math at the end, but whatever extra I'm getting with the new job that I got. So I think that's gonna put me a little bit ahead.
Yeah, Chris is definitely ahead.
Stop picking up coins in the street. They're so filthy.
So I found $20 in the most bizarre set of circumstances ever possible. I went to go do grocery shopping and then bought way more groceries than I actually thought I could carry home because I usually walk to the grocery store and back. And on my way back, while I'm straining and struggling to carry this load of groceries, I found $20 in the ground. And I took a quicker route back than I normally would just because of how many groceries I was carrying. And lo and behold, there it was.
Nice. So voodoo's finally kicking in.
Apparently.
Do you still feed the oil? Give it the oil?
No, as a matter of fact, I just got so frustrated with it that I've been neglecting it.
Interesting.
I've been treating it more like a house plant than a house pet, and so it seems like that better. I don't know.
I guess it's kind of because it said you had to treat it like a child.
Yeah, it's treated like a child or like a pet.
And now that you're ignoring it, it's trying to get your attention.
Yes, I guess so.
Hey,
that's true.
It's doing all the things that you've asked it to do.
Yeah. Maybe I'm going to continue that.
And what are your numbers up to?
I'm serious. I found a bus ticket. That's it.
Just the bus ticket. So that's about $3.
Something, yeah. But so it was a bus ticket that was you have to stamp them if you go on the train. So there was only 30 minutes left on it, but I just used it anyway to get all the way over here today. But other than that, all my investments are steady, or my crypto's a bit down.
So now I want some context for something that you said in our group chat, because I'm kind of curious. You said that you think the pendant is canceling out your other curse. So
yeah,
how did that come to be?
Because I keep not getting fired at work.
Okay.
So I feel and then the one day that I didn't wear the pendant, I had extra bad luck, where I would say lately my luck has been neutral. So I think that if you weren't already cursed, then you would probably make some money. Even though I feel you wouldn't make a lot because I chose the laziest one. So I feel you get what you put into it. You cast a spell for 18 days and you got a job. And Sheryl gave her thing some oil and found $20. And I've done nothing except for mostly not forget to wear this thing. Mostly. But the days that I didn't wear it, I had worse luck than the days that I do wear it. So my theory is that it's canceling out the bad luck from my other curse.
So do you think I had found that demon ritual for you where you could gain Bune's favor through candles and chanting?
Oh yeah, I didn't even click on that link, bro. I was 100% not summoning demons in my apartment.
You didn't want to click on bunesuccess.com?
I did not, but I thought that was funny. I was I loved that Bune Success. Look, it's a freaking MLM or something.
It probably is.
Maybe 2 pendants.
But I don't know, maybe the crystal is doing something. What's the crystal cursed for again?
So all it was a pair of earrings that I lost the other one to, and I don't know why I held on to the single earring for that many years. Funny. So we just pried the stone out of the single earring and glued it into your pendant.
See, in the name of science, we got to get one without a jewel. We got to get different ones. Wear a whole bunch. So more tests are needed, I think. But in general, my luck remains neutral, and I found a $3 bus ticket today.
Nice.
Now, one thing of note, which could be interesting, the stone that's in there is the August birthstone, and August is coming up. So will your luck improve in August?
Maybe.
Or glow.
Or because they're from lost earrings, if I lose my job in August, I'm going to be mad. So
that's fair. It's fair.
But I would say that's my greatest source of luck so far is not getting laid off.
Okay.
Or fired.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Round after round. So maybe in normal times we would all be millionaires. But right now, it's like the luck vibe is like, hey, you get to keep your fucking job.
Yeah.
It's just keeping us like steady.
Steady, yeah. Or we'd be like fucked otherwise.
Just order more pendants, hang them around your body.
Do you
weave them
remember the
together
scene
like
from
a
The
shirt.
Mummy where, like, the first Mummy where the mummy's, like, coming and he whips out all those pendants?
Yes.
That's, like, my aspiration.
Okay.
he like starts like praying and like
Yeah. He just kept his options so open.
Yes.
I gotta learn Hebrew real quick.
we could do that pretty easily. We could just order you a bunch of other, like, types of prosperity-making pendants. I'm sure there's more than one online.
I bet like on eBay someone's selling a grab bag of them.
Probably. The other thing I'm going to make note of right now, just because I can hear him and he's slightly distracting, our bird is making noises in the background. So if you hear some strange, like, reading noises in the background or beeping or whatever else, it's probably the cockatiel.
Yep.
He's just a part of the show. You just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, get out of here.
I don't know how loud he's actually going to be when you start listening to the audio, but hopefully not too loud.
He's also literally a dinosaur.
Yes.
Like, ridiculous.
Yes.
Birds are dinosaurs, you guys.
As you've firmly confirmed in our creationist
Did
episode.
confirm. I've done a science course since then, guys, so I'm fine. Was not converted.
No, she was not brainwashed.
How was it like talking to like mom that night? Did you like talk to mom at all? Because she's
Yeah, I had
also
like
a talker.
full like a meltdown over it. I was like, oh my god, not like a crying
okay.
meltdown, like a me meltdown.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm like very dramatic with words, so
That's fair.
it's fine.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't crying, but it was just sort of like similar to the podcast, just like this disbelief. And then the next day she was like, oh, you know what you would find interesting? We could do like a mother-daughter science course. But I think secretly she was like, I gotta teach her fucking science so she doesn't get like sucked in by a fucking cult. But so yeah, we're doing this thing on Coursera, I think called Origins. And it started talking about the rock cycle. And I was like, I fucking knew that was a thing, but I couldn't like think of it in the moment. Right? Like a lot of the stuff that guy was saying, I was like, hey, that's like a thing. I know it's like a thing, but I couldn't like figure out like the rest of it. So yeah, basically the whole thing about rocks, why you can't find a geological column, I think he called it, with like every stage everywhere in the world, is because the earth was so volatile when it began that there was no rocks. And then the oldest rocks are 3.5 billion.
Yeah.
Around like
Around
3.5
there.
billion, give or take a couple billions. But like they're not even as old as the earth. And then there's only 2 places in the whole world with them. And then why there's not a ton is because rocks fucking change and melt and move and shit
Yep.
when you're not looking.
Things
Correct.
are moving. That's one day
It's literally like the toys from Toy Story, basically.
when you're not watching.
Yeah, they just move and melt and turn into other rocks.
That's the rock cycle.
So that's why you can't find any of them. But yeah, I think she was interested and she kind of wanted to go. And I, like when I first did it, I was like, oh my God, I want to send other people and like see what they would like think of it. But then when I thought back, I actually told this to mom. I was like, I wouldn't want to send you just on the basis that like, not that she can't handle herself, but to me, like the cringe factor was too much of sending her somewhere where like the second I walked in the door with my friend, this guy told me that like societal laws were the only thing keeping him from being a rapist. So that's not really somewhere you want to send your mother,
No.
even if they're tough and smart and everything.
Just buy her some pepper spray off of like.
Seriously, send her with like fucking
eBay.
bear spray. So I think yeah, she would have had a fun time debating the geology because she studied geology, but I don't. There's no need,
No.
right? Like you don't need to send people
No.
there.
No.
She just wants to fight.
Yep.
My friend that came wants to write a review, so I said she could use the Lindsay Grube email because she doesn't want him knowing her name.
That's
Oh
fair.
yeah.
So we might do that still. We haven't organized it yet,
Yeah.
but I guess she had a moment sometime this week if she was like, I feel like I have to warn people, and I was like, I feel like, well,
The warnings are there.
Yeah, they are.
they are a little bit, but I was like also still not prepared. Like I didn't think it was going to be as crazy as it was.
Yes.
But yeah, every couple days I remember something new, and then I like go Google why it's not a thing. So
It's good.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm happy to hear that you're recovering.
I'm
Glad-
recovering.
glad to
I'm
hear
learning
you're
to trust
healing.
again.
Yeah, good.
Dickheads.
So I guess learning to trust is now get segue into what our current episode is about. So we sent Sydney to a couple of relationship courses.
Online Zoom meeting relationship courses.
Yeah.
So the first one that we did, we sent Sydney to by herself because Chris and I had already done this one. It's the attachment styles.
Yeah, the attachment styles. Here's like the description from the Zoom meeting. Attachment style. Have you ever found yourself repeating the same unhealthy patterns in all your relationships, each time hoping for different results? When it comes to relationships, whether it's dating the wrong person again and again, or engaging in relationship sabotaging behaviors, we can start to understand ourselves and others better when we look at attachment style. And so attachment styles was, I mean, if you want to learn more about it, a book written by Amir Levinson. It's fun if you ever like doing self quizzes.
I don't, by the way. This is like not the most fun for me. I don't want to know. I don't don't worry about it. Just like, let's ignore everything and pretend everything's fine.
But how does that accomplish anything?
It doesn't.
Okay.
I don't know. I've done a lot of I've done some, I shouldn't say a lot, but I have done self-improvement stuff before this. I had to do 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for work. And then I had to do Landmark, which is like an $800 highly intensive 3-day course that I literally only did because my ex paid for it for me. Because I'm a monster. But I don't, it's just a lot. It can be exhausting. Sometimes I don't want to think about myself. Sometimes I just want to eat pickles and drink and and watch Hamilton all day, every day.
Full endorsement for Hamilton.
100 million % endorsement for Hamilton. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I don't love it, to be honest. I find it exhausting. I like to maintain that I'm super smart and perfect in my head. Okay. And I did not get the most flattering results.
Why don't you tell people what your results are, and I will tell you what mine are.
Okay, so I didn't write anything down because I'm a train wreck of a human. I barely certify as a human. But it was something anxious preoccupied is what it's called.
Okay.
So I was 3.4 preoccupied and 4.5 anxious. So I was actually really close to the center. And what's one of the things that they get into, because to me it didn't even make a ton of sense. It made more sense talking about it today. It depends on who you're with. That's if you are anywhere near the border. So as soon as I kind of thought about that, it was that makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. So yeah, anxious preoccupied is my attachment style type. It means that you test people a lot, right? That's the main thing.
Okay.
So
do you love me? Prove it.
Basically, but you wouldn't even really do it like that. When he was talking about how I would need more affirmation than other people, I was laughing a lot because I went on one date with my ex and then I literally left the fucking state and I was oh, we'll just see if he texts me. Or so I was in the same state, but I was pretty far away. And then I left the state 1 or 2 more times on him just to oh, is he still gonna be interested? Literally psychotic.
So I'm actually fearful avoidant. So fearful avoidant, just the brief description here says, in relationships they are uncomfortable depending on others. So if somebody is becoming attached to me, I will pull away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so I typically at the beginning of, especially at the beginning of relationships, I will actually avoid them like the plague. I will pull back oh so hard and avoid all contact with.
Ooh. When do you meet anyone ever then?
So when I did the attachment styles thing, it was more of a I need to learn what I'm doing wrong because I took dating like I did everything else in my life because I science all things. So I'm gonna do these courses to figure out why I'm not being successful. So when I did the attachment style course and I realized that was what was going on, when Chris and I started dating, I actually started going to see a counselor because I was picking up on those bad habits and I was I don't want to be doing this anymore.
Aww.
Yeah. And so we redid our attachment style quiz today just because I was I can't remember exactly what mine was. And I'm still getting generally when dealing with people, I'm fearful avoidant. But in my relationship with Chris, I'm at the very bottom corner of secure. We're it's the most secure it can be. Yeah.
You did it.
I did it. So it that was what I took the course for. It was I know that there's an issue and I don't want to continue doing that. How do I avoid doing that in the future?
Oh, that means we get to keep you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I'm keeping her.
What did he say? Your attachment style is like just it's not your fault or something. He said
It's like what did
it's
they
like
say?
predetermined.
Based on like your like very early like what you were like as a baby.
Yeah, or what you when you were raised, how your relationship with your parents was.
Yeah. But I'm like kind of right in between two styles. So like when we get into like the personality stuff, it was sort of funny because it was like, yeah, like these two sort of like opposing things I was with the same person, which I'm sure was like super fun for him. Couple of extremes. And what was your attachment style?
Secure.
Oh, well, how nice to be you.
Oh yeah, like
Always, both times?
I paid to
Yep.
do like an online
Just a
test
dick?
because the first one I did was like paid, and I'm like, all right, this is the only way I'm gonna find
Why
out.
did you pay for it?
This was like $10.
I had the same reaction, but it's fine.
But yeah, and it came out as secure, which was sort of annoying because I paid $10 to find out that I was
Because you
fine.
paid them. That's why they told you were secure. I'm just jealous. How secure, though?
I mean, I could. They sent me a graph that I could show you.
Yeah,
but,
you can't come on here and brag if you're like right
Yeah.
at the corner like I am. Like what I took away is when you're right near the border, that means I can be dragged into like anybody's fucking neuroses, like depending.
Oh yeah. Well, we did one today,
Yes.
and like this one showed it on a grid, and it had me like right in the corner.
Like 25? Like the furthest, like best corner?
I think we did like maybe different tests,
Okay.
but I was like about as deep into secure as you can get.
How nice for you.
Yes. But
Also, how?
I think at least for the general one, where did you score? Not for the relationship, because like again, it varies from relationship to relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're basing it on our relationship, yes, I would say you're definitely secure.
Yeah.
But what did it have for your general score?
My general score was also mostly in secure. The site I signed up with, like, it asks you to do it every month just for like tracking, and I guess they use the data for reasons.
And you've always, like, I don't want to like whip out your whole childhood on the podcast, but you've always been secure? Like, is that sort of your takeaway?
I
What
mean,
different lives we've led.
like the only like kind of outstanding thing was I did get into preoccupied, I think is one of them.
Okay, yeah. Anxious, preoccupied.
Anxious preoccupied, but that was in like November, and that's typically when I'm like dealing with seasonal depression, and I'm usually like very hard on myself. Like I feel like I'm the worst person
In
during that time.
November's?
Yeah,
I'll send you a
November.
cake.
you should.
Into December, and then January I kind of like even out,
Yeah.
or by Christmas usually, and I
Yeah.
think that's because of all the chocolate and candy.
Yeah, and family time and
A real serotonin boost
yes,
during that
correct.
time. One question I do want to ask you is because the online tests we do, or I showed Cheryl today, it also breaks it up between your friends, your romantic partners in general, and then your mom and your dad.
I didn't do the long one.
Okay.
Yeah, I only did the short one, which is why it's probably like more general. Like in general, I am anxious, preoccupied.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I should have done the longer one. I wasn't prepared, but also no one told me.
I'll have to send you the link.
Yeah, we'll send you the link.
I did the some score. It's like some score out of 0 to 10 about like how rough your childhood was, though.
Oh,
I did one of
interesting.
those, but I was like kind of caught on it, like because I don't want to get like too much into it, but it was basically between like either a 5 or a 3, depending on how I interpreted some of the questions.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe for safety, we'll go with like a 3, but it's on a scale of 10. And then in my attachment style, someone had an 8, and I was like, oh fuck, because it's like if it's like a ranking, and I can't think of the word of it right now. It's like 8 aces. Your aces score is like something about like how turbulent your childhood was.
ACES?
Yeah,
ACES?
I swear. I mean, I can look it up right now.
Or ASUS, like the computer?
No. Yeah, ace is like an ace. But yeah, so that's the attachment style. I'm so a little annoyed that you're just like secure. Really, you're just living your life here, being secure, doing your arts.
I mean, if you've never
Whatever.
like, this is kind of like based off a book, Attached?
The attached. I think so. Just double check here.
Did no one ever like traumatize you in your whole life? Like what happened?
I read the book, and it goes into depth explaining like all the different attachment styles, and I think in like as a teenager I was definitely anxious, but I don't know, something happened over time. Or it might just be that everyone as a young person is anxious in relationships because they want to be good at it. They want to get it right the first time.
That's not me at all. I don't think it's fair for you to get secured just like off the bat all the time.
Why do you think it's not fair?
Oh, because I like clearly knew mine was going to be like just lunacy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a functional human. So it's a little annoying. But also like, I don't know, you're a much calmer person than I am.
I kind of had no idea on what to expect. I'm not the kind of person to say that I am like doing the best.
So, full disclosure, I agree with you. When Chris actually got the secure result when I was doing the quiz at the same time as him, I was a little bit like, really? But we've been dating for enough time now that it's like, no, I can see it. Like,
I'm actually shocked that you're not insecure. Like, I would think you would, but you said you're in the quadrant now in this relationship.
Yes, I am in this relationship, but previous ones, no, for sure not.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it depends on your partner. Like, one of the things that goes into in the attached book is that it brings up the fact that if someone who is like fearful avoidant is in a relationship with someone who's secure, it can actually help adjust that person.
Yeah.
Because a secure person will do things in the relationship to kind of like even out that sort of emotional difference. And so that depending on who your partner is, like, you don't want the fearful avoidant or the anxiety avoidant trap going on, because that's where the issue is, right? One is trying to pull away, the other one's trying to pull together, and it just causes a huge mess. But the whole, like, if one person is secure, it's pretty easy for them to be in a relationship because they're not really having to like accommodate for anything.
Yeah, if they can pull you into it too.
Yes.
But I would be interested to see what my actual ex was, but I'm not actually sure.
You should ask him.
Yeah, you could send him a quiz
on Facebook.
He ignores me sometimes, which is annoying. But yeah, it would be cool to know his attachment style so we could like psychoanalyze how we all like, you know, fell apart so hard.
Predictions for him.
It's hard. I feel like he's probably almost secure, which is fucking annoying. He's the worst. He's not. I would say like maybe secure. Definitely better than me. Whatever it is, it's like a less level of neuroses than me. But like maybe.
So the next one that we did, Chris and I joined Sydney for this one. And it was the personality test. And it's the Myers-Briggs personality test that we did.
Yep. So if you ever see those personality tests where your personality auto-generates to like a 4-letter combo, this is the one.
So I don't know which one of us wants to start on
Should we
this.
say what the options are? Or maybe we should... Yeah, I feel like we should. Otherwise they're going to like not care.
Okay. So the first one of the options is introvert versus extrovert.
Self-explanatory.
This is the first letter in the 4-letter combo.
Correct.
Yeah. So there's 8 options, but 4 letters.
So not... Yeah.
Yeah.
16 different combinations.
Yes.
But there's 8 options of letters.
Yes, there's 8 options of letters.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay.
The people are with me.
Yeah. In total, not just for the first letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next one is intuitive versus sensing. Sensors are realistic people who like to focus on the facts and the details and apply common sense and past experiences to come up with practical solutions to problems. Intuitives prefer to focus on the possibilities of the big picture, and easily see patterns, value innovation, and seek creative solutions to problems.
I was confused about that one. I was the most, because like I got like intuitive. We'll get into it, but like I'm not like a creative person, so it was confusing.
So the next one was T and F, so thinkers and feelers. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Like,
you either think it through or you react on how thinking is.
Correct.
Yeah, that made sense.
Yeah, so you either think it through or based on feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one was J and P, which is judgers and perceivers. So this one was a little bit confusing because I scored again, we'll get into it, but I scored in the judgers category, and I'm like, I'm not judgmental, but that's actually not what it means. So judgers tend to be organized and prepared. They like to make and stick to plans and are comfortable following most rules. Whereas perceivers keep their options open, like to be able to act spontaneously, and like to be flexible with making plans. So those are the personality types, like the options. And then again, like Chris said, like that equals up to like 16 different options of what your personality can be.
Yep. No other personalities are possible.
None.
As we discovered during the thing, like you can be, because like it's letter pairs on a spectrum, and so you could kind of be like right in the middle on both. Like I was right in the middle on extroversion and introversion, which could mean like I'm a couple different personality types.
Yeah, you were the worst. You were like the loosest.
I think technically I was the loosest. I had 4 options.
He
Chris
had
only
4
had
options. Oh, you only had 3?
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Yeah, I was the worst. The only thing that I like scored really high on that I didn't flip-flop on is I am 100% an introvert. I scored 44% introvert.
Oh, I wanted to start with this. So, Sheryl, you were the most hardcore
Yes.
introverted. And then what were you?
I'm introverted, but by like 3 points on the scale. So like I could easily go into extroversion territory with a little bit of effort.
Guys, there was like a bingo sheet that we had to do, so I'm just looking mine up. I was like 11. There was more than these numbers, but I was like an 11 versus 7. So I was 11 for introverted and 7 for extroverted.
I think it was like an 8 or 9.
Yeah, so so you would be the most extroverted, quote unquote.
I'm
Yeah.
an ambivert.
You were right on the border. I was like more squarely an introvert, but Sheryl was like a hardcore introvert.
Yeah, I am like 6 points extrovert and 15 for
Which I guess I
introvert.
didn't see because I feel like you try so much harder than me.
Well, so this comes back to the whole idea of like wanting to change the type of person that you are. I'm working really hard on not being as much of an introvert. It's one of those things that's like really frustrating because like in your head you've got this idea of what the ideal person is, and when you look at your profile or you look at your personality type or whatever and you're like, I'm not that person, I'm not that ideal person, you'll kind of like gravitate towards wanting to be the opposite of what you are because you're like, oh well, I'm a terrible person. So I've been working like really hard on trying to change the introverted part of myself to be a little bit more extroverted, which is probably like banging my head on a brick wall because clearly I'm like the most introverted of everyone. But I guess in my head I feel like extroverted people are better.
Extroverted people are annoying. I was just thinking, first of all, that like I think you're good personally.
Well, thank you.
Like you can, I mean, keep going if you want, but I think you're fine. But also, like I was just thinking, like my introvertedness is that like I don't like to do like I get really overwhelmed if I like triple and quadruple book myself, which happens because I don't keep track of any plans or make any plans. But there are certain people that I am never exhausted around, and like I would say that you two are like squarely in that category because you're like low key, like normal people. Where like certain people I would like really need to recover after like hanging out with them. I don't think extroverts are better. I think they get further.
Yeah,
I would say.
I also think things are like more skewed in their favor because like the statistic they gave, I think, is like 1 in 4 people is an introvert, so the other 3 are all extroverts. So they've got population rules. Like,
yeah, I was literally worried everyone in my office was going to think that I was straight up autistic because I'm not great at small talk. I will never be the person. I'm totally happy to just like walk in and like sit down and not say anything. And my boss would always make a point of like saying good morning because he's like not a monster. And then him and my other boss, like they'll be like, how was your day? And I'll like tell them, and then it'll take me a minute to like ask how their day is because I'm like not great at small talk. So definitely interesting doing this stuff. We all scored mostly introverted, with Sheryl being the most introverted, and then me, and then Chris. Which, why do I have to do the things if you're the least introverted? How did that happen?
I think because you're like, I
can't plan a goddamn thing.
So, the funny thing is, because I'm so introverted and I'm trying not to be as introverted, I actually do a lot of this stuff. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of the stuff we've suggested you to do, I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was shocked that you're the most introverted. But so that means that, like, even though you are going and doing this stuff, you have to recover a lot more.
I do.
You have to, like, go hide in your hidey hole.
Yeah, I do. And it, coupled with social anxiety, it is actually very hard for me to, like, push myself to do a lot of this stuff. But I'm trying to, because I feel like it'll improve, I guess, me as a person if I can break out of those molds a little bit more.
I think you're fine if you want to be introverted.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, you're not going to probably do as much stuff. Oh, and can we say, like, I'm not sure how much we're shouting this guy out, but, like, I really liked him. And, like, a lot of his stuff is just, like, do you want to go ahead?
Go ahead. No.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, a lot of his, he was a, should I say the type?
He was the same as Chris, so he was an INTJ.
Yeah, he was an INTJ, and I just thought it was, like, interesting that, like, if you get into the stuff, you could look up, like, what that means. But it was interesting that he, like, kind of dove into all this and tried to, like, accumulate all the information. He's just, like, a likable person, I think. And, yeah, a lot of it's, like, out there.
So, I guess we never told you. So this guy put on the course that Chris and I met at.
I just had the biggest happy face because I love that they're together.
So it's interesting because I got the impression the first time Chris and I did a course with this guy that, like, he was doing this solely to meet women.
He was trying to, like, the leader was trying to meet women.
Yeah.
I could see that.
100%. I got that impression the first time we went to one of these things. And so there was actually some concern because apparently Chris and I were the first couple to actually meet through one of his events. And
oh my God, really?
Yeah.
So how come? Oh, he didn't recognize you because.
No.
Okay, so I'm so sorry to interrupt. I apologize for the millionth time. But can we segue to this? I took the first course as Lindsay Grube, yes. And then when I signed into today's session, I signed in as Sydney because I'm a fucking train wreck. So then Sheryl had to be Lindsay.
So I ended up being Lindsay anyway because what happened was the course was supposed to be on a different day. He had booked an event through Eventbrite, and then he didn't realize that they had not canceled their Eventbrite ones. So in fact, they've moved them to Tuesdays. And we went to do it today, and I had to email him the thing being like, yeah, just an FYI, like, actually, we have 3 tickets for today. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, let's sort this out. Like, that, I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh no, it's perfectly okay. So I called him as Lindsay Grube because I forwarded him the email as Lindsay.
He knows who we are now if he finds this, and he knows that we're liars. But I did think it was really nice. So he hosted today's event for only the 3 of us.
Yeah, it was very nice.
We got a private screening.
We did.
Yes.
Screening is a screening when it's online.
I think so.
I feel like it was almost like better for me though, because I, like, in the first group I didn't speak up at all.
Yeah.
So it was like the smaller group with people I'm comfortable with was, like, good for actually exploring. I got more out of this than I got out of the attachment style.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, so we were kind of worried that we were going to be recognized because Chris's friend who was on our
good friend Anna.
Yeah.
Who was on our virtual speed dating episode.
Anna.
She went to one of the events following when Chris and I had met, and she brought up to our host that, in fact, we had met at one of these events, and he was super excited. Like, crazy excited, to the point that both of us were kind of concerned that he might recognize that we were the couple that met at his event.
I thought I had a good lie though, because I was the Lindsay last time, but I didn't say anything. So then, because of the way that our personalities are, which we'll get into, I was like, oh yeah, it was me last time, but I just used Lindsay's email, and Sheryl is now the Lindsay.
Yes.
We need more fake email accounts, you guys. I almost answered so many times when he said Lindsay because I've been practicing.
Yes. So he is a very nice guy and he's very smart, and the basic premise of what he does is he does these relationship courses. And initially when we did the first one with him, he had kind of said that his idea was that like people aren't dating properly and that they need to learn how to date properly.
Mm-hmm.
So the one that Chris and I did before we had met was like a crash course in everything all at once. And so
it was all this stuff?
It was all this stuff, kind of. So he only did basics. Like, we didn't do any of the tests for, like, the personality or whatever else, but he would bring it up, and he'd be like, oh, well, that's how this goes. And so he basically got you to do, like, a rundown of, like, everything you wanted. So you rated everything you wanted in a partner. And then he had you rate yourself on that same scale. And he's like, well, if you want someone who's, like, a 10, and you're not rating yourself as a 10, why the hell are you looking for somebody who's that much better than you? You need to improve yourself so you're at the level that you want to be if you're meeting the partner you want to meet, which is a very interesting concept.
It is. I was just thinking for myself personally, I would 100% not rate myself as a 10. But I'm also not looking for a 10. I'm just looking for someone who's not fucking annoying and who doesn't get me deported out of countries.
So funnily enough, Chris and I encountered the same issue at that course because when we were listing what it was we wanted...
Oh yeah, did you both look for 10s?
No.
Well, like, they kind of, like, rated across a whole bunch of things, like
Yes.
looks and finances and...
status and job and I can't even remember.
What was the
all
most
things.
important for each of you?
Oh,
I can only remember, like, the thing that, like,
Was it
I
looks,
put
you
as
beautiful
low.
people?
It's always looks.
Sorry, I'm being annoying.
I only ever date beautiful people.
So what did you rate as low?
The lowest I put on there was finances.
That's a mistake, bro.
I grew up poor, so, you know.
Yeah, but
It's
like
fine.
you kind of like made it and sorted yourself out. So you don't want to go back to that.
It's fine. You just eat
It's
popcorn.
not
and
fine. I wore so many of your shirts. I'm so sorry I'm
That's so
interrupting
good.
you, but like
as the oldest, as the privileged white male in the household, I did get.
yeah, you
all
did
the
the
new
best.
clothes.
Dude, I wore your Independence Day t-shirt till I was like fucking 14. So anyway, sorry, Cheryl.
that's okay. So for me, the one I rated the lowest is the looks because, as we've said in previous podcasts, my brain doesn't interpret looks the same way as other people do, and both times he called us out for that. He's like, well, what do you mean you don't want somebody who's like a 10? And like in my head, I was like, but I don't process attraction that way. Like, you're asking me to rate on a scale that I don't have in my head. So how am I supposed to rate that way?
I agree with you more than I agree with him. To just fully, to be honest, like I could see looks are like, because I'm also like a plus size person. Like dating is fucking brutal for me and filled with anxiety.
Yeah.
So I can totally I'm obviously not going to go for someone that's like super jacked, like the Situation from Jersey Shore, where like finances to me, it's like.
Well, my counterpoint to you. How would you like to be in a relationship with someone and you both become poor and they don't know how to be poor?
Ooh, interesting. And now I can think of some stuff where I think my ex was a little bit more used to creature comforts than I was. Like, I've dealt with some shit. So I know how to shop at the grocery store. It's like not an issue for me. Interesting.
Because like that's definitely something a lot of couples are having issues with right now during.
So you can't have someone who's like, if you know how to be poor and someone else doesn't, like that's not going to work.
You could. It just requires a lot more communication, and it requires both partners to kind of be flexible. But it potentially could lead to issues. But his idea was basically that like everyone is going to look for the perfect partner, and they want them to be 10s on everything. And because of that, you're never going to, unless you're 10s on everything, it just doesn't make sense. So you need to improve yourself to the point that you are at the level of what you're looking for in a partner so that you're basically attracting somebody who's you're equal.
I would want someone that's better. I don't know. I haven't taken that course. I would want someone that's better at some things, but that's an interesting counterpoint. But I don't want someone that's like fucked with money. because I'm fucked with money. We can't both be fucked with money. So I guess when we're talking about finances, we need to define our terms. We're like, I'm not talking about someone that just like has a bunch of money and is like going to be fine forever. I'm talking about someone that can like handle money in a tough time and can like sort it out and isn't like a full fool. Like I paid $20 a pack for cigarettes in Australia. Like I can't help you with your finances.
Yeah, like we all scored I for introvert.
Yep.
Yes.
The first one.
Get us back to it.
The second one was, what was the N for?
Intuitive.
Yeah.
Intuitive. I think we were all intuitive.
Yes.
Over sensing.
I was on the border. So everyone say what you were on the border of. Chris was on the border of extroverted.
I think maybe we'll do them in order. Because intuitive, I scored 25%.
Oh, I don't have my numbers because I didn't write them down.
That's fine. But yeah, so it wasn't on the border for me.
For you. You were intuitive.
I was intuitive.
I was on the border.
Yeah.
And then Chris, what were you?
Also intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
Fully intuitive.
Yeah, more so on that side. Yeah.
Okay.
So the next trait that they had was feeling versus...
Thinking.
Yeah.
I think. I feel.
Yes. Good job.
I was a fully in the feeling category, which I actually didn't like because I wanted to be in the thinker category, but I can't be friends with y'all.
I'm okay with that.
I'm fully just like, here are my feelings. Let me vomit them on the world.
So this is one of the ones that I was on the border on, which I guess technically... So here's the thing. He went through and made us take the quiz, not talking through the course. So we just took the quiz without any sort of like explanation of what each trait was. So when I purely did the quiz, I scored high on feeling, but when he went through and he broke it down and he did each explanation, I'm kind of on the border of thinking and feeling. I do both. And I found the same thing with the intuitive versus sensing. I did both. Like I scored high on both sides.
So you are extremely intuitive and then on the border of sensory.
So the only one that I was an extreme on is introvert. Everything
Oh,
else,
sorry.
Yeah.
That's why introverted, when you do this thing, it's an N because, yeah, I just fucked it up, didn't I?
No, you didn't. Introvert is the I.
Oh, okay, I did
Yeah.
it right. Good for me.
Yeah, you did.
So, yeah, you're extremely...
I'm extremely introverted, but everything else...
You were in the middle because
I'm
you
in
had
the
those
middle.
4 traits.
Correct.
So I was the least flexible because I only had 2.
Yeah.
And I didn't write my shit down because it's not what I'm here for. I was the median between Chris and Sheryl. I was the median introvert. I was on the border between, what's the second one?
So you had ISPF.
Yeah.
And you had INPF.
PF. Yeah, so that was my waffling one, was between intuitive and sensory.
Correct.
I don't think that's what I said before.
No.
I've been drinking.
It's okay. And so that was one of the ones that I was on the border for as well.
And then what's the next one? I don't have the memory,
That's okay.
capacity for this. You know how we have, memories that are, a bajillion gigabytes? I have, 12 megabytes of memory.
You got a floppy disk of memory.
Literally. Fuck, what's the next one? It's, F.
So, yeah, the thinking and feeling.
Okay, so I was a hardcore feeler.
Yes.
It was, not a test.
Yes.
And then, what was the other one?
And then the last one was...
It was judging and... What does the P stand for?
Something.
Perceiving.
Perceiving. So I was in the perceiving camp pretty solidly.
Yes.
So I only waffled on the second one.
Yes.
And I'm on the fence on the judging and perceiving, so...
Chris is the sociopath.
I walk in both worlds.
He's also in the introvert versus extrovert.
Yep.
You were right on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Should we talk? I don't want to talk about your art because I don't want to give us away. But do you think it's because of your art? No one's gonna know who we are ever.
I've already posted our podcast art on my
Stop.
Instagram.
I'm gonna change my name.
People are
Chris did all
allowed.
the logos for our show.
Yes.
They're good.
Yes, they're amazing. Chris is amazing.
Well, thank you guys.
He's okay.
I
I wanted to praise him until you praised him, and then it was it's too much praise.
love you guys.
Aww. Yeah, so you were like I was wondering if you were the most on the border of intro and extro, because that's like part of going out there and like putting your, like, it's very vulnerable to put your art in the world.
Actually, it's more like you put your art out there so people don't pay attention to you.
Interesting.
My art is kind of like, I don't know, I like it to be eye-catching.
Because I only do secret art, so that's interesting that you say that. But I do want people to pay attention to me, but only people that I like and will say nice things. Because my secret art is ducks with fangs.
.com.
No, no, it's not. But it's only for secret. It's only for people that I like. It's not for the world. I feel like it's like a lot to put yourself in the world. Because people are mean.
Just you post it under a pseudonym.
I mean, I didn't know back then.
This could be Lindsay Gervais.
Lindsay Gervais is going to be a famous artist. Duck with fangs.
Mm-hmm.
I also do koalas. Moving on.
Mm-hmm. So which one were you again, Sydney?
I was INFP or ISFP. So I was an adventurer or a mediator.
So Chris got the architect when we did the quiz first through.
INTJ.
Yep. So it says that these people are imaginative and strategic thinkers with a plan for everything.
Guess. I don't know. I'm more of like a make up a plan in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have plans for everything at the moment, but give me a couple minutes.
Just for like a quick shout back, I remember as like a kid one time being so mad at you and being like, you're crazy. And you, like, cool as a cucumber, were like crazy as a fox. So when I read that, I was like, yeah, that guy, like, I get it. Like, it made sense.
I got fox madness.
Crazy as a fox.
So for me, I got the advocate. So it makes me laugh every time. Anyway, quiet and mystical, yet inspiring, and an tireless idealist. There were so many things in there that were like, rare, blah, 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 seeds of magic, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know if I'm rare or magical or...
I think you are.
Okay.
Yeah. It can be a little grandiose in language, kind of like astrology.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always, like, pair up.
No.
Like, we were all, like, in between. These are the ones that we mainly were.
Yes. So Sydney got adventurer, which is flexible and charming artists, always ready to explore and experience something new.
Which is funny because I have a lot of, like, anxiety about all of those things. I would say I'm, like, the least artsy one here. But I used to be more artsy.
So this was kind of something that I thought about while we were taking the course. And I would like everyone's opinion on it because I am kind of curious. How much of it do you think the personality types are influenced by the fact that... Because it's, like, our host, he sounded very much into this topic. Like, it was something that he was very passionate about. How much of what he's doing do you think is influenced by the fact that he has read the profile and he's like, fantastic, I fall into this category, this is the way I'm going to behave, and that he's now structuring his life based on what this personality profile is?
Ooh, like, you think he fell into his, like, so, like, solidly that... What, do you think it's, like, a justification for how to be?
Kind of, or that he feels like because he matched that personality type, he needs to act that way.
See, I would say the different. I feel like based on what he said he was, like, he really had to get to the bottom of it.
Because, like, to me, it reminds me a lot of, like, when people believe in the zodiac, like, their, like, astrology sign.
Where it's like, oh, I'm a Taurus.
Yeah, and so, therefore, these are the qualities of a Taurus, I'm gonna act like a Taurus. Like, it kind of, because we've never tried to, or at least I haven't, tried to live my life based on those traits. Like, I've never been like, oh, I'm such a mediator, like, that's such a mediator thing to do. Like, it just doesn't register in my head that way.
I feel like based on what he said he was, I felt like there was, like, some genuine intent to, like, fight against it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Is what I would
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah.
Without, like, giving away who he is and everything.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you that, like, because, like, when I got diagnosed with depression and ADHD, I was just a dickhead for a little while.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone goes through that where you're like, oh, well, I have these things and I'm going to act this way. And I know other people, like, right when they got diagnosed with anxiety, they were just a fucking mess, and they'd be like, oh, it's just anxiety. Like,
Yeah.
you have to kind of fight against that a little bit under certain circumstances.
For sure.
What's a way to say it without getting canceled, Cheryl?
I don't know, because, like, for me, it just seemed kind of weird, because we're all waffling on at least one trait or another.
Yeah.
And for him to be like, no, I'm a solid this person, just seems so weird to me, because, like, so for me, this was kind of an interesting thing, because I had taken this course years and years and years ago, like, when I was in high school, and I got the same one that I got this time. But then I went through, like, a terrible breakup, and I took it shortly after the terrible breakup, and I scored completely different. And I was like, oh my gosh, that personality trait that I had the first time I took the quiz, it's now gone. Like, it's completely changed, like, I'm a different person. But now taking it again, I'm back to that same person again.
Ooh,
and
interesting.
So, for me, it's a little weird, because it's like, well, the situation, and maybe it's because I was so close to the border on those things to begin with, that, like, it just kind of pushed me over the edge one way or the other, but, like, it feels like it makes that personality type fluid. It's not as solid as you would think it would be.
Wait, so did you maybe try and overcorrect?
Well, I think that was part of it. So the trait that or the personality that I have is, like, a feeling and, like, intuitive person, and then when I went through the breakup, I was, like, on this warpath to try curb my emotions and, like, be more logical, to the point that I pushed myself into the logical category. So I shut down my, like, thinking via emotions to go into the category of thinking via actual thinking, like making logical decisions.
Like, turn off your emotions.
Correct. And so it makes me wonder how fluid your personality type is, or if that's just because I was already close to that border, it just kind of pushed me over the edge.
Yeah, if it was a certain kind of personality type,
yeah,
that, like, could just push you in a different direction. Like, so I understand that more with when we're talking about attachment styles, which I originally said, like, off the air, but I'll just go ahead and say that, like, there was a person that I was not my official ex, I was not officially, like, involved with, but, like, literally pushed me to the edge of and what is it, anxiety, an anxious preoccupied.
Correct.
I feel like I'm more normal now, but in that situation, which took up a lot of my fucking time, wasted a lot of my life, traumatized me a lot, I was, like, fully being, like, the worst version of that category. So I think it totally depends who you're around, and people can, yeah, definitely, like, I don't think we want to be in, except for maybe this dickhead who's in the secure category all the time.
Hey.
Well, I'm a little mad. I'm a baby bit mad. But, like, I think the rest of us normal folk, get pushed around a little bit. We get jostled, right? Like, we might be responding to more extreme personalities than we are even.
Right.
And so that sort of, we go for a ride even if we don't want to.
And that's fair. And, like, but then it comes back to, like, he was so solid in, like, this is what my personality is, and I am this type of person, and in my head I'm like, but I'm so fluid on that. Clearly I've changed my personality enough that one time where, like, the second time I took the quiz, I scored differently. So how fluid is that personality? Can you teach yourself to be a different personality, or is it just because I'm closer to the top of those, like, I'm more equal balanced between the two, that it was easier for me to flip-flop?
I think that was fully his intention, is, like, recognize who you are so you can correct things that aren't serving you. But also we might have an easier time because I think we both were a bit flip-floppy.
Yes.
And so was Chris.
Yeah.
Chris was flip-floppy in personality, but he was, like, solidly secure, which is annoying. I'm derailed. Someone get us back on track.
Okay. So one of the other things that I wanted to ask, I kind of got the impression, because Chris and I did it as a couple, so we were both kind of on the screen, and it was funny because the hosts seemed to have this impression that because we're a couple, we've got to fight all the time. And he kept trying to, like, push us towards being like, oh, but you guys fight about that all the time type of idea. And it was like, no, actually, like, we're pretty good at communicating. And so Chris and I were kind of talking about this before Sydney arrived, and Chris, you brought up the point that it could just be that he's always dealing with couples that are like at wit's end and trying to like improve their relationships, that he's used to people.
Yeah, like a person who runs couples workshops probably doesn't see like the best of all the couples.
Yeah, I would say. And like I think that you guys are like pretty atypical, honestly. I just would. Well, I just mean like you seem to get along all right. Like I love Sheryl so much, I want to keep her. If they break up. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I think that you are the atypical. You're not very dramatic people.
No.
I think that people that are at their wits' end, I am more of a dramatic type that would go into this like in full meltdown mode. Mm-hmm. So maybe he didn't really know where to go with you guys. Maybe I feel like you give yourself a hard time, Sheryl. I think you're probably more balanced than you think you are, and you're just a bit harder on yourself. So maybe he doesn't really know what to do with you.
Probably, for sure.
I would say.
It just felt kind of weird having him be like, well, I bet you guys fight about that. And just kind of look at each other like,
even I was like, they don't.
Yeah. So it was kind of a little like, it kind of caught me off guard a couple times because I was like, well, what are you saying? Like, are you saying we should have issues? And I was like, no, like, I don't know. It just seemed kind of odd. It reminded me a lot of like our talk previous about the creationist guy, because like it seemed like he was trying to egg you into a fight. And then when we're doing this and I'm like, it seems like he's trying to insinuate that we should be having issues, but we're not really having issues.
You know, it's so fun though, because you say that Chris, like, as a romantic partner, drags you into the secure category. So my friend that went with me on that, I haven't like tested it or anything, but I would like bet dollars to donuts like we are a secure relationship. Yeah. She's been my best friend for like 22 years.
Yeah.
She was the one that sort of kept us steady, that sort of like, don't engage because it's going to be a whole fucking thing. Yeah. And I just like followed her lead on it. So I don't know. It's maybe just a thing about you're basically in the secure category.
Correct.
Right? I bet if you do it in a couple years, you'll be even more secure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Stay with us forever, Sheryl.
I'll try my best.
Mm-hmm.
No pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Stay with us.
So I guess
Alexander Hamilton. Sorry.
I guess Alexander Hamilton, as he would like to say, is what good is this for anybody?
For you listening to this at your house.
For you, exactly. It is good for you.
In your ears, hello.
Good for kind of like introspection of yourself. I guess kind of like both get the idea of who you are, which is good for introspection and like how you normally make your decisions, but also good to understand what the polar opposites are for those four things they give you. Like you will likely go through life thinking that, you know, well, my way is the right way because I've always done it this way. You might not consider that there's like a complete opposite. I mean, everyone does know like extroversion, introversion, but there is opposites to thinking and feeling and judging and perceiving. But yeah, I think it's good for like that perspective because you would learn that there are other points of views and what they are and what they look like. And even though they don't make sense to you, you can at least realize that that's a thing.
I think it'll take some stress off. I think here's the thing. Listening in your little earbuds, which are probably bad for your hearing if you're listening to this on full volume. Take care of your ears. But
take care of your ears.
Take care of your ears. Hashtag take care of your ears. You're probably a bit of a dickhead. And you're probably a bit of a person that doesn't understand other people. Like, I think everyone should, like, maybe once a week or once a month consider that maybe you're a bit of a dickhead. I'm literally like, I don't even know how I'm a functioning member of society. I really shouldn't be. You just got to check yourself.
How am I the bad guy?
You're not the bad guy.
No, I'm just saying that's what you got to ask
yourself.
yourself.
That's what you got to say. How am I the bad guy? What am I doing? Like, I literally never ask anyone how they are ever because they don't understand small talk. Maybe that's you. Maybe even if it's a beat late, just ask your boss, how are you? We all got to get along in this world, people.
What do you think?
So for me, it was interesting because there are a few people in my life that I have issues getting along with. One of them was a woman I used to work with. I will refer to her as Crazy Lady. And to be able to see the differences in how she might respond because she's on a different area of that would be very helpful to know. And I think if you were in a relationship with somebody and like their behavior just seems really bizarre to you, it could actually be a good way to learn more about your partner or about the people in your life by being able to see those differences and understand, oh, like, they're more feeling than I am. So because of that, these are the kind of things that they need. Because he did, at one point, again, and I don't know if it was because Chris and I were there as a couple or if it was because it's just part of his standard course, but he, like, sat down and he, like, broke it down. He's like, well, because the two of you are in this relationship together, like, these are the there's this website you can go to and it'll talk about, like, the conflicts that could potentially arise in your relationship because you're different people. So, like, based on this personality type versus this personality type, what kind of conflicts could come from that? So he described, these are your needs in a relationship. These are his needs in a relationship. What things can you do to help the other person feel more loved? And I think that would be very helpful to know.
What do you guys think about, like, if you... He said, first of all, he said not to, like, base matches off personality types. But what do you guys think you would do if, in a terrible alternate universe, you were not together? Like, how would you treat someone knowing what you know about personality types? Like, would you give up on people sooner if you knew that they were, like, going to be a handful? If you knew 100% who you were and who they were. Because I would bail, mofo.
You mean, like, based on the Myers-Briggs
Yeah, based on
exam?
this test. We don't have time for all the tests. That's not what we're here for. Mm-hmm. We should go outside.
I don't know. I've always been, like, of the idea to, like, give people a chance. I mean, maybe...
What if you know they're crazy and they're, like, so your opposite?
I mean, if I know that I wouldn't be in a good relationship with them, no, of course I wouldn't.
Or even a friendship. So you have, like, a cut it off point.
I mean, if I know it's not going to be a good relationship, I'm not going to get into it.
But he was saying, like, you can't 100% tell, but you can maybe guess, but you can't tell. So you don't know.
Your question is if I did know.
My
100.
question is changing.
So, for me, I believe that any two people can make a relationship work, regardless of personality differences or anything else, as long as they're both good at communicating. And
Interesting.
so, yes, there can be those personality differences. I've typically dated extreme extroverts. It's just the way it goes. And as long as both people can communicate and be an adult about things, you can make it work, but you both have to be driven to. The minute one person loses that desire to still make it work is the minute the relationship is basically lost. Because it can't be one-sided.
I would agree with
Yeah.
that. Both people, yeah. I mean, you can get whatever score you get on this test, but yeah, both people definitely have to try.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Because, like, in the end, it's just numbers. And I was always trying to date extroverts because I wanted them to kind of push me out of that comfort zone. Because, like, being introverted, I felt like I wanted to be more extroverted. Because extroverted people, as Chris said before, like, they seem to have an easier time with certain things in life.
Have an advantage.
Yeah. And so, if I push myself to that point, I can learn skills to kind of, like, become a little bit more adjusted to those things. And so, dating somebody who's more extroverted than me is appealing. So it just depends on how you are as a person. Are you the type of person that you're like, I want to date somebody exactly like me?
I think you're doing the work on your own, though.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I was so shocked that you were the most introverted.
Yeah.
I really was. Because I
Yes.
feel like you've clearly, like, done more. Well, Chris is all... I've done the least work, which will be the thread of our podcast, but... So I think you're doing it on your own. You don't need someone else to pull you up out of it.
No, but it can definitely help to have somebody
sure.
to push you.
Mm-hmm. For
right?
sure.
Like, and so that was kind of the way I was looking at it for myself. Now, to be fair, if they're extroverted to an extreme, it can be difficult. But again, if you can communicate well enough, you could work past that.
It just depends. I really like your idea that anyone can get along, but don't take that to a dangerous extreme
No.
where you're dating someone who's not good for you.
No.
I mean, if you're both working at it.
Yeah, you both have to be working.
Yes,
That's a fucking
correct,
keyword.
correct.
If they do nothing, if they don't fucking text you for 5 days, it's not working at it. As
No.
the most dysfunctional person here, God damn it, listen to me.
You don't work on shit.
Don't work on shit. Also, I just want to point out, I don't know if we have pointed this out. This is totally like derailing our podcast, but I'm sure this is like the most open secret. I get drunker and drunker as the podcasts go on. So I get less and less normal.
Podcasting secrets here.
Yes.
Hashtag podcast secrets. Hashtags fight me.
I
Hashtag
went
fight me
outside
Disney.
today.
Hashtag I went outside today. Next. Hashtag next.
Yeah. So I think that's all we got for today, but
Yeah.
as part of our new segment here,
Oh, I'm ready for it.
I've got some new names and
Wait, I just want to be clear. This is a person that I did not date. He's just the worst person I've ever met.
yes, this is a
I think I said sometimes he's like X because it's easier, but we did not officially date because he's a monster. Go for it.
that you
Sorry,
always
I'm gonna
like linked his name to a demort,
a Voldemort.
a Voldemort.
He who shall not be named.
So Cheryl and I both have 5 guesses each.
Go for it.
So my guesses are Jacob Demort,
Nope.
Craig Demort,
No.
Dennis Demort,
No. Why would I date a Dennis? Are you? What is wrong with you? Sorry, Dennises.
a Fred Demort,
Not a Fred. I had a boss named Fred. Hey, Fred, the boss.
and a Ned Demort.
Not a Ned Demort.
Okay.
Cheryl, let's hear it.
I have
Really channel like fuckboy nation.
Thomas Demort.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I have Jackson Demort,
Nope.
Cody Demort,
Nope.
Sean Demort,
Nope.
and Andrew Demort.
Nope. This is my favorite game.
Is it more fun when you're drunk?
No, it's equally
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to get it. Because there's so many names.
How close have we gotten?
Not at all.
Not at all. So not even like in the neighborhood of a rhyming name or
What's the
anything?
neighborhood? Okay, nothing is rhymed with it.
Okay,
What? He's giving me a
we'll
look.
guess it.
You're not in. Nothing has rhymed with it. What is the neighborhood of names?
Like, I don't know, like an Aiden or a Jaden or a Braden or a Caden. Or
I know an Aiden, but he's not the Aiden Demort. But I do know an Aiden.
like names that rhyme are kind of like
No,
close-ish.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm confident enough to say it again that nothing is rhymed with it.
Ah, another clue.
There wasn't a clue.
Nothing rhymes with it.
Oh, I guess it's an X clue. I'm not going to tell you what it rhymes with, or that'll give it away. I also, the other clue that I did give you was that there's like a whole name, and I didn't blend the whole name with it because that would be fucking silly.
Yes.
And it's a fuckboy name.
It's a fuckboy name.
And it's a common name.
Ish. Ish. But you didn't get it yet. You didn't get it yet.
We'll keep guessing.
We will give $1 million to the person that guesses it.
Do you think the person himself?
He cannot have $1 million. He can go fuck himself and die in an alley. So
Sydney is going to award 1 million of her own personal Bitcoin dollars.
I have no dollars. Just FYI. Try and sue it. Try and sue me for it. Hashtag come for me. Like I have nothing. I own nothing. I take it back. I won't give you $1 million.
We'll see if I don't cut this part out.
Cut it. I want a tiny house. I really, really want a tiny house. That's 3 stories high.
How is that a tiny house?
Well, because it's going to be tiny, but it's going to be 3 stories.
Yep.
I think that's a lighthouse.
Oh my God, it is. I want a lighthouse. That's what I want. That's why I keep you around. Okay, so what did everyone learn today? We all have different personality types and we all have to get along in the world. And also, you could even use this for like, why is your boss such a fucking crazy person? Because they're probably at the other end of the scale from you. That's all I got. People that you hate, anyone that you hate, they're probably at the furthest extreme from what you are. That's all I got.
I think I said all I got.
I learned I'm a panda.
Because you're rare and fascinating. Yeah, girl.
Oh, I learned I'm like Dr. Gregory House,
Yeah.
who is also an INTJ.
Yeah, that makes me uncomfortable because I'm like obsessed with Gregory House. But like, I feel like he would be mean to me in person.
People are
I
idiots.
was going to say Chris is kind of mean to you in person.
He is kind of mean to me in person. Fuck this guy. What mine were off on the animals. Mine were off. It was like a kitten that was like harmless or something, and that was like not correct. I was a little bit laughing.
Yeah, I can't remember what the other one was.
It was like harmless and sensitive, and I was like, I'm super sensitive, but I'm also here to fuck you up. Like, I'm not harmless. And then the other one, I went with like a whale or something that was like free spirited.
Yeah.
I'm a free spirited whale. Don't fuck with me. Anyways, that's our podcast, I think.
Yeah.
I hope you learned.
Thank you for tuning in for this episode of I Went Outside Today, the podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chris.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Sydney. I do the things. Or sometimes I do the tests. Bye.
The end. Thanks for listening to this very special episode of I Went Outside Today. If you have comments, compliments, or just suggestions of what Sydney should take part in, send them to us on our I Went Outside Today Facebook page or by email to iwentoutsidetodaypod@gmail.com. Also, if you could give us a positive rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast and share us with your friends, we would really appreciate you helping our small podcast become a little bigger.